So today I thought we'd talk about harvesting the Jfet out of these little condenser microphone modules that you can find in all kinds of old things, anything from cordless phones to sound activated toys and switches to greeting cards that record messages, just about anywhere, or you can buy them cheap. And what we're going to be doing is basically opening up this microphone. Here's the back side where the connections are, for example, and here's the front side. If it'll focus on things this small. There's the actual little Jfet itself. What we're talking about, let me re-aim this camera for you, if I can. Maybe I can zoom in here and get what we need to see. So here you can see this is a data sheet, and you can look it up online, but we're talking about the 2SK596S electric condenser microphone. And we're not talking about the microphone itself. What we're talking about is the chip, actually the Jfet, that's inside it. And you can find this data sheet online. And this is the little guy in question right there. And it gives the full specs on it, ways to test it, what you can do with it. Like I say, the fundamental cool things about this particular Jfet is, well, first, let's pan this thing back out. First, that you can find them almost anywhere. They're in devices throughout your house. You can find them in junkyards and Goodwill and yard sales, and you can buy them online in bulk. And the fact that they'll run anywhere from like 3 volts up, well past 9 volts, and that the signal to noise ratio on them, if you're using them for audio, which is what they're meant for, is over 110 dB, so they're very quiet. They won't make hiss or noise. So if you use these in guitar pedals for boosts and distortion and stuff, it'll be a much quieter pedal than if you were building them out of old NPN transistors and stuff like that. In this case, I used them in both the projects that I've already mentioned on YouTube, and I'll do build videos if anyone shows enough interest. But I used them in the Fat Blaster, which I use them to make my square wave for the fundamental. I used them in the octave up ×2 position. I used them in the octave down, in the divide by 3. Very, very good. I also used them in the Axe Blaster project, which has got a clear boost setting, clean boost setting, which gives me 10 dB of boost. Of course, there's an output level control. You don't have to have 10 dB. It also gives me an overdrive position with a really wonderful overdrive, very natural sounding, a diode clip position, and a diode octave position. Again, this video is up on YouTube, and you can view it if you want. If I can get enough comments, I'll do build videos on both of those devices. But the long and the short of the whole thing is this little FET is already in this container, so really all you have to do is pull the little windscreen off the front. We just want to get a membrane off there, and underneath that windscreen, if I can get it from sticking to my fingers, this is very thin aluminum. I'm going to leave the bulk of the aluminum there. Idea is I'm just going to pinch it and pull it off with some cutters, and because this is such thin aluminum, it's not going to damage your cutters in any way, not going to dull them or anything else. And you just kind of keep going around and peeling it back like so, and eventually you're going to get down to this little membrane, like, yeah, get this, take this last little piece off here, and there's the membrane. Removed it. We don't need that. Now that all that's off, we can solder right to this piece of metal right there, and that piece of metal is going to be the gate of the device. And the ground pin, which you can always identify on these because it trails, see those little spiderweb things right off to the case, because the whole outside case is going to be ground. So that's your negative lead, that's your ground. And then as far as the FET's concerned, that's the source. And then this is going to be our positive, which is going to be our drain. So you can get right to the gate, the source, and the drain. Leave it in the case. The whole little thing is now got like a ground shield around it. It'll keep it quiet. It doesn't take up much space. These tabs are a whole lot easier to solder to than if you were to strip it all the way down, almost all the way down. In this case, I've left the gate connected to that piece of metal. That's that piece of metal on the top that I said you could solder to. But I mean, you could take it all the way off, and you just have yourself a very, very small transistor looking type package. I don't know that the camera can focus in on anything that small and that close. But that's how I harvest these Jfets. And even though they have that long number, they're really the key numbers of the whole thing will be the K596. And you can actually see that printed on these little things if you look at them close enough with some magnifying lenses. I don't think this camera is built to have a macro to focus in on anything that close. But that's where I harvest them from. Like I say, you can find them everywhere. They're on all kinds of devices. You can buy them if you just look on eBay. You can buy them in bulk directly from China. I saw several sellers selling 50 of the little Jfets for $10 plus some small shipping charge. Some other seller was selling like 10 of them for $5. Very inexpensive, but why wait for something to come from China, and who needs 50 of them, right? I've had no problem at all finding dozens. I have a sack full of these. When you start looking at devices that have old condenser mics in them, you can get them for free. They're everywhere.